welcome to Unity. I was going to start off with materials, but I tried recording it like 5 times and I make my materials on the spot, so the video was just horrible. So instead I'm just gonna take one of my materials and just point out some important things for you guys to look at. I didn't do this in the last video though, so I'm going to show you guys how to do that really quick. So after you import your FBX, you're going to click on it and you're going to come over where it says rig, and you're going to drop this down and click humanoid, come over to model and check legacy blend shape normals, and then you will apply, let it do its thing, and then you'll come over to configure and you will quickly configure your avatar. So you want to make sure the chest is filled with the chest bone. Sometimes it'll put toes, sometimes it won't. Honestly, it won't affect the rig either way. I know some people will put toes just to make like full body tracking better. As someone who has made models with and without the toe bones assigned, I honestly don't notice a difference. I just leave it however it imports. For the head, you're going to want to make sure the jawbone is empty. And then for the fingers, you want to make sure all the fingers are filled in. I know for like some furry base models, the distals might be empty. That's okay. As long as it's not red, you should be good. Alright. So after your FBX is set up, you can go through and start making your materials. Like I said, I already have mine all completely set up. I'm just going to point out some things for you guys to understand. So first things first is your normal material. You're going to want to set the, I don't know what this would be considered. I usually set this to cutout. Every once in a while I might use a transparent, every once in a while I might use a trans clipping. I'll explain the difference between those two later, but most of the time you're just going to use cutout, and you want to make sure that your rendering call is off. Keep in mind this is for the Poyomi shader. If you use different shaders, it's gonna be set up differently. Some of the stuff might not be there, it might have extra stuff. So it does differ from shader to shader. This is just for the Poyomi. Okay, so if you're doing something like lashes and eyebrows, I do have it set to transparent, because if you do cutout, it's I mean, it still works with your alpha, it's just, you know, kind of blocky. And then if you do trans clipping, you can do trans clipping. I just know that like if a world has like ambient occlusion, there's gonna be a weird like blocky, you can see like the outline of the mesh. So for eyelashes and stuff, I usually do transparents. And then as for something like this, where the shirt has the lace, this is set to trans clipping. Let me find there it is. So if you do cutout, this is solid. Now, the only thing with trans clipping is if you overlap it with certain things, it can cause like things to become see-through and such. Like I remember one time I had done a commission, and she had like a swimsuit bikini and then like a sheer top, and the top and the bikini shared the same texture, the same material, so when they were overlapped, the bikini would become see-through. So that's the only thing you just have to be wary of, okay? So that's what the different types of shaders are. I don't really know what to call this. So whenever you get your textures, you'll get your main texture. So for example, her jeans, it came with this main texture, right? So I just dropped that in here. If you have stuff with rips and whatnot, you'll get an alpha map, which looks like this. It just tells the, you know, what needs to be see-through, and you can also adjust this. See? I've never personally actually used this adjusting tool, but I do know that you can use it. You'll also get something like this. This is a normal map. A normal map helps with giving like texture to your avatars. So I don't know if you can tell, but on these jeans, you can see like the threads of the jeans, whereas if I were to reduce this, because you can also do the intensity here, see it's just smooth, or you can make it super intense, which is kind of hard to tell. But yeah, so that's what a normal map does. You can also do a decal, which a better example of that would be like the body texture. Sorry, I'm not gonna do that. You have the decal for the leggings, the stockings, the fishnets. There we go, fishnets. That's the word I was looking for. So you can add fishnets here, and you can actually adjust the alpha, so how see-through it is. That comes in handy later. I have the tattoo texture as well. Can't see it because I have a matte cap on it, but tattoos, the makeup for the head is a decal. Just if, let's say, for example, you wanted the makeup to be removable. That's why you would use a decal instead of just putting it onto the texture. I have an option to switch out these fishnets to a different fishnet or no fishnet, so that would be an example of using a decal as well. Alright. Moving on to shading. If you get AO maps at all, they usually look like this. They'll literally, oh, that's not right. There we go. This is what an AO map looks like. It's basically got baked lighting in it. So that way if you go into a world, it will kind of give the illusion of like a shadow almost. Okay. So you also have your shading type. Typically I like to use flat. Another one I see is realistic, which does exactly what it sounds like. It makes the material look more realistic. It's more noticeable with like skin tones and stuff, but I usually use flat. We've also got matte caps. Matte caps do different things. So in this case, I don't know if you can see the slight light right here. That is actually a matte cap. See? It also enhances that normal map I was talking about earlier. And you can mess with the blending here. You can just make it straight up replace the texture. I have multiplied add-on. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do with matte caps. Also, I used to make my metals with matte caps. I do them a little bit differently now, but a good example of that. So this bikini top, this like leather effect right here, is mostly a matte cap. So if I go and find this, see? But another thing that is really cool about matte caps, I don't know if you can tell, like the hair has kind of like a shimmer to it. It's, most of the stuff just helps with shading. Yeah. Also, you can just isolate matte caps with a mask. So if I go ahead and pull up these jeans again, I don't have it in the map cap, I have it in a cube map. All my metals that you see are cube maps. So, I just started using cube maps. They give a shinier effect in-game. But sometimes you'll get something like this. This is a metallic mask. You can see everything is blacked out except right here. And on the UV, that is the button. So now it looks like the, I have a metallic button. So that's what you would use like a metallic map for. You can also add rim lighting. A good example of rim lighting would be with the hair, actually. So I just started using rim lighting. I used to use it a lot, and then I didn't like it, but I just learned that you can set it, instead of add, which adds the color on top, you can multiply it. So it gives a darker shading, which I like the look of this better than like the look of this, you know? But yeah, that's rim lighting. You can also add some environmental rim, which I suggest doing. It adds a little shadow based off of the lighting in the world. Another cool feature to add would be an outline. So, especially if you do like anime style, you know, it kind of gives that like cartoony vibe to it. You have emissions, which if I come here, and it glows, so if the lights are dark, you know, it'll glow. Emissions are fun. Another cool thing you can do instead of emissions is glitter. So if I turn this off, you can see I have some on the body here, which I kind of go crazy with glitter. I love using glitter, but I don't know if you can see, probably not, but the glitter is actually hearts. They're hearts. See? So you can even add like shape textures to your, you can do the same thing with emissions too. You can, you know, adjust the panning and stuff, and all that good stuff. There's so much stuff you can do with shaders. There's not really a right or wrong way to do it. It's all about experimenting and seeing what you like. I don't think I have set my shaders up the same for any of my avatars, because every time I make one, I do something different with it. But that's pretty much where everything would go as far as your maps. So like you'd put the AO maps here under light data. You would use metallic maps for like matte caps, or if you're using a cube map. You can also have stuff like hue shifts. So if you wanted, you know, to change the hue, you can add that. And that pretty much applies to everything here. So that applies to the rim lighting, the matte cap. It applies to the outlines, the emissions. Most everything on here has a hue shift available to it. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It's all about just experimenting and seeing what you like.